What did a crush do that made you immediately lose interest? He would steal people's tips off the bar counter when we were at a bar together with friends. Then he would offer to buy me food with it. No thank you. Played hard to get. No thanks. If you're gonna ghost me for days at a time and then get pissed off when I don't respond in 5 seconds, then that's not my problem. A woman I was talking to was recently divorced and had moved back in with her parents. She already had a child and a couple pets and was talking about getting another pet, and her parents told her no. She chose to go ahead and get another pet anyhow, and basically her parents began pushing her out the door. And it was a stressful situation for her, and I suggested she talk to her folks. However, once she told me she was grown and made her own decisions and did not care about their rules, I suddenly understood and quickly lost interest. She told me her future plans to essentially become a gold digger like her mother. When I laughed it off, she couldn't see what I thought was so funny. Cute girl in 9th grade. There was a party over at her house. Out in the country. Had a big old crush on her. So she says they raised chinchillas. Okay, everyone wants to see the fuzzy critters. There were about 100 of them. The ammonia smell was unreal. So there's a platform with battery cables on it. And I asked what that was for. She said, "Here, I'll show you. Have some ready to go anyway." She grabbed a little fuzzy critter, clamped the cables on it and threw the switch. Without missing a beat, killed that critter. It was bizarre that a teenage girl could electrocute an animal that easily. No more crush. I was actually afraid of her a little after that. It kind of sucked the life out of the party, to say the least. He talked about how he wanted to loosen up some boring family at a wedding reception. So he spiked their drinks with party drugs. I was casually dating a 19-year-old guy when I was 18. He seemed totally normal until I met him at his house before a date, and his mom asked him to take the garbage out before we left. He threw a fit that would embarrass most 3-year-olds, including crying, yelling at his mom, and punching the floor. I pretended that my parents were calling and needed me to come home. Blocked his number. And never saw him again. Made fun of my smile. He would ask me questions about myself, then cut me off in the middle of my answer to talk about himself. 2 days after our first date, she showed up at my work with a pan of homemade lasagna, an ice cream making machine for my kids, and all kinds of groceries. I was a single dad at the time, and I guess it was some sort of care package for me. I also work about 2 HRs from where she lives. When I said she didn't have to do that, she started to cry. Bit of a red flag. I had a harmless crush on a married friend that I did not signal or act on. Ever. I've been the spurned wife before. I kept my distance and did everything short of unfriending him on Facebook. He slid on into my DMs right after my separation became public knowledge, and he found out I was no longer married. He was still married to his wife, with a baby on the way. I didn't respond. They are divorced now. She's a really lovely person and deserves so much better. Called me a sexist for pointing out that she was improperly, and dangerously, using a power saw. I mean, I get that a lot of guys probably talk down to women using tools. But for duck's sake, she was so close to losing a hand or worse. I ran into an old crush a few years back who told me he was into dog baiting. The candle had blown out a long time ago as far as my crush was concerned, but that pretty much killed any intention I had of trying to restart our friendship. Poured lemonade on my head in the middle of a fireworks show. She thought it was flirty and cute. I went on 2 dates with a girl when I was in college. She was wonderful, but immediately wanted to be official and started drafting Instagram posts about us. She wanted to spend every day together and have sleepovers every night. It was so out of nowhere, and we literally knew nothing about one another. I tried to look past it, but she asked me to be her first and I got uncomfortable. She seemed naive and I didn't want to take advantage. I suggested we take things slow and she took offense. I cut things off and her reaction was super childish. All of this in a 3-week period. Sweet girl, but the pacing was off. Went on a date with them and they didn't ask me anything about myself. It was completely one-sided, like a job interview or something. I'm a guy, by the way. He started dating one of my friends after I told her that I had a crush on him. She tried hooking up with every guy she knew I had a crush on. I felt like I couldn't like anyone. Said, "Why do you hang out with that N anyway?" Hard R. Oh gee, I don't know. Maybe cause he's been my best friend since 2nd grade and always has my back. That was enough for me to realize she's ugly. Coworker at work had just a beautiful energy. Absolutely lovely to be around. Always smiling at everyone. And she would laugh at my jokes. And she made some comments from time to time that made me feel validated and understood, which was very, very flattering, like she guessed my passions in life and told them to me. With a big smile while looking me in the eyes. And I'm a reserved guy who doesn't share that stuff. All just very lovely. One day we're in the break room and she's talking to another guy the same way, and I'm consciously talking myself out of being jealous. You're not dating or anything, you don't even have her cell phone number. She's allowed to be lovely with other people now, come on, no reason to be jealous. Then when the guy leaves, she turns to the girl next to her and says, "God, I hate that guy." And I had just been jealous that she was treating him exactly like she treats me. I still feel foolish when I think about it. Like, does she like me or hate me? Back in college I was seeing a girl casually. Whenever we'd text, she'd take hours to respond to any message. It wasn't a big deal, since most of the time it was just chatting or setting plans for the following weekend or something. It was a little annoying because it'd take a full day or two to set up plans because of the slow responses. But whatever. I'm a bad texter, so I can't really judge someone for that. But I started to notice that when we hung out together, she'd immediately respond back to any and every text she got. She had some loud song as the ringtone that played for like 15 seconds. And set it so that her camera LED would flash constantly while it rang. Totally obnoxious, and made me really notice how often she texted. I casually asked her who she was texting one time, and it was just some friend from school that had sent her a meme. After that I realized it wasn't going to work. Being a slow texter is fine. Constantly texting while hanging out was annoying. But not a deal breaker, especially if we were just chilling at one of our houses. But the realization that this person who was glued to her phone but didn't feel like it was a priority to respond back to my texts made me feel unimportant, so I kinda just drifted away. We stayed friends because we shared the same group of friends and it wasn't awkward or anything. I just stopped trying to do things with just the two of us. I have a few. Had no sense of humor. Was really attractive but opened his mouth and was a moron. Treated waitstaff badly. Started dating a buddy who had the courage to ask her out first. Bro code. Also, this was high school. And those crazy kids made it. 12 years later they are still together and married. Was pretty rude to and consistently teased his roommate's dog. Just be nice to animals. Not that hard. My family is Jewish. And my grandfather survived the Holocaust. On the second date he told me he was a neo-Nazi. Or at least on the path to becoming one. When I told him I was Jewish. And also politically very left. He told me that he wanted to duck the commie out of me. Never spoke again. We would be great in person. Both of us would have a laugh and genuinely had an amazing connection. But trying to get a text back takes days. It's really difficult to arrange to spend more time together when she barely replies to me. I massively lost interest after this. He was a complete racist and told me he tried to kill himself the night before because he would rather die than be crushed on by a monkey. This was in 4th grade and I was shattered. Shit personality. Doesn't matter how hot you are. If all you have are looks, people will notice once you get any one-on-one time with them.